What's going on, everybody? Welcome to video number 2. I hope everybody has been having a fantastic week despite the that stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I know half the country received a nice blast from Mother Nature. We ourselves got 18 inches in some spots, which is mildly to severely depressing. But what we're gonna do until this stuff melts is we're gonna go into the fishing dungeon and talk about some more gear, because every time I film, I have more gear coming, more new lures, re-ups on things, and so every time I start filming, there's something else in the mail, and I figure, you know what, might as well just start now, and maybe by the time I finish this, everything will be here, which I severely doubt. So, that being said, let's go and browse around at some of the new stuff we got. So, see you guys in there. What's up, YouTube? So here we are, back in the fishing dungeon. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again for another video. Got some saucy stuff that we just got in. I know I said in the intro that I was just gonna get cracking, but there was some good stuff that I wanted to wait to get in that kind of pertains to the rest of this video. So first on the list of things to do is I want to talk about a contest. So I'm going to be running a giveaway, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but it's going to be with a bait, one bait in particular that I think a lot of people will be interested in. With that, let's jump into, let's get kind of the more boring stuff out of the way first and dive into this Tackle Talk 2.0. First order of business is going to be terminal tackle. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it is very, very important, because the only other thing connecting your line to the fish is your hook. So we're going to start with the Mustad TG76 Ultra Point treble hooks. So I learned my lesson the hard way at the end of last year with some tournaments that I was fishing with my dad, and I can't count, at least in the first out of the 2 tournaments, how many fish I missed, got off, whatever, at the boat. And we were just kind of honestly lucky, based on how they were kind of short striking it, that I even got some fish in the boat. The next weekend, I knew that I needed to switch out my hooks. I still had a couple ones left, but not very many. Swapped them out. They were still short striking, so I did miss a couple opportunities, but every fish that I got in, and as well, my dad got big bass in that tournament, was with these hooks. And each time we got them in, they were always just by the tip of one of the hook points. And I firmly believe that these played a huge role in even getting those fish in, because if you notice that kind of reverbed, whatever kind of bend you want to call it, that extra wide gap there kind of locks their jaw, or wherever the hook point goes into that bend. So pretty critical that, especially if you're in a tournament situation or a big fish is on the line, change out your hooks. That being said, I also picked up, there's a new company I wanted to try, Hayabusa. I was looking for some hooks to switch out on my jerk baits and crank baits and things like that, cases where I wouldn't use these, essentially, and I could not find the ones that I normally use, so I decided to go and pick up some of these Hayabusas. They seem great. I've heard mixed stuff about them. I've yet to try any of them for myself, but one thing that really drew me to them, well, there's a couple things. One being the price. They were almost half the price of Gamakatsu's, and they also have the nano coating on them. So let me grab another one for comparison. So your typical treble hook is going to kind of have this nickel finish, and you can tell that there's this coating because it's got kind of more of a matte finish. Now that makes the hook super slick, which in theory should help it penetrate the fish's jaw a little bit easier, and they should be stronger from what I've read. I think I picked these up for a pack of the treble hooks was like $5. And I also grabbed some EWG worm hooks. Each of these was like $3.50 to $4 a pack, and they're also nano coated. Again, that always seems to drive up the price of hooks, so we'll see if it's you know, the real deal or if it's too good to be true. But I'm excited to try those out either way. And I mean, they're very sharp. They do bend a little bit, but these aren't the heavy duty ones, so you know, obviously going to be throwing that on some lighter gear, 12 to 15 pound line. Nothing too crazy. I probably wouldn't flip cover with them, but yeah, excited to try those. Next up on the list is going to be split rings. So I've never really been big into changing out split rings. I got some owner hyper wires, but I will say a big key area to switch out your split rings is going to be on the line tie of your crankbaits, your moving baits, things like that. So I went with these teardrop shape ones. I got size 1s and 2s just because that's going to prevent that line from wiggling its way into the actual split, the screw of the ring. If you notice here, working its way into that area there, which causes line fray, which when you get a fish on, you're bound to break off at some point. Like I said, I've just really learned to pay attention to those details and not skip over anything out of laziness or thinking that it's not important, because at the end of the day, if that is the one thing that is, you know, not going to bend out if you get that big fish on, that could be, you know, that could equal a win or could equal a PB, a personal best fish that you got on the line there. So just wanted to be extra thorough this year and really give that attention to detail and see if it really makes a difference. I'm sure it will. You know, there's a reason any serious fisherman does do that. So yeah, just trying to get in line with doing the boring and normal stuff so that the big stuff pays off. All right, some more hooks. We're almost through the terminal tackle side of things. One thing that I dread, I have not done it, and I didn't really plan on doing it, drop shots. I had to pick up some drop shot hooks. I've never drop shot in my entire life. I don't really like it if I'm gonna fish finesse style lures. It's usually like a shaky head or a Ned rig or something similar to a jig. But I know it's something that I need to kind of get in line with and master at some point or another. So decided to pick up some drop shot hooks. Also picked up some Nico hooks. These are the 25 pack of the Gamakatsu Stinger size 2s. Everywhere I've read, size 2 is really the a good all around of what you'd want to go with for Nico. And I also picked up some VMC weedless Nicos. I've heard good things. VMC for some hooks, it's kind of hit and miss, but I've heard good things about these. So I decided to pick up a pack of those and really start picking apart my weaker areas of fishing, you know, spinner baits, crankbaits, jigs, things like that. I've kind of gotten to a point where I feel like I could be consistent at, but there's little areas and some big areas that I really want to improve upon, especially this year. So, and talking about those split rings earlier, I also wanted to grab a pair of split ring pliers. These are the Texas Tackle split ring pliers. I've heard good things about these. Split ring pliers are kind of hard to find as far as a good pair that will get through small split rings. If you do it, if you ever change them out, you'll realize kind of what a pain in the neck it is. So I wanted to find some pliers that were easy to manipulate the split ring and work my way around, get the hook out. And these have been doing great so far. I've used these to switch out most of the hooks that I've done so far. Typically, in years past, I'd use these Rapala ones, which these aren't that bad. But if you notice, as far as the design goes, the Texas Tackle has that little notch recessed from the point of the pliers, whereas the Rapala ones, they kind of scissor right at the tip, which can make it a little difficult to really get into some of those tighter, smaller split rings. So picked up a pair of those, figured why not? If it makes my life easier, it's worth the money. They're like 18 bucks or so on pretty much anywhere you go to, Tackle Warehouse, Omnia, things like that. I believe I got those from Omnia. So last out of the gate in terminal tackle, hooks, things like that, but something that I enjoy more. It's going to be the flashy swimmers. I picked up a kind of a good amount of packs of these. I got 1/0, 3/0. I also picked up some more Beast 10/0s for some swim baits. I mean, and I've already put some away. So I always want to have a good stock of these, because once the year gets moving along, especially the lately the 3/0, what are those? 3/0 3/16 ounce are kind of hard to find. So I had to pick up some of those while the getting was good, and just because I don't want to be short on them later in the year. I'm sure I'm still gonna have to buy more, depending on, you know, if I break off or not, but hopefully not. Let's now get into the good stuff, the lures. Got a lot of stuff to go over still, so let's dive in. All right, so first company that we're going to be talking about is a company I've been wanting to try out for a while. I've looked into their stuff. The first thing that drew my attention to them was a couple of the jigs that they had, but let's start with their soft plastics. First one of those is going to be Beast Coast. That's the name of the company. And the first lure we're going to start with is the Beast Coast Marauder. So this is going to be like a black and blue with a green pumpkin and green flake on the backside. Similar to like your missile baits, super bug color. What's another color? You know, just that nice versatile dark side on one side and a little bit more natural colors on the other. Cool thing about these is now with those big claws, you would kind of expect a lot of kick, similar to like your rage baits, like your Strike King, but it doesn't really work that way. They're a little more subtle. I don't know why I put that away, because I'm going to show you anyway. So if you look here, those claws don't have that sharp edge to them, so they're not going to give you a crazy amount of kick. But it's a big enough profile, 4 1/4 inch, where you can still use it in dirty water. You know, obviously depending on the color, but still it's a big enough profile that you could throw this in a bit dirtier water. And I really like these. I've never really seen a profile design like this. I can see throwing this on the back of jigs, flipping it on a Texas rig, or even maybe on the back of a chatterbait. They have these nice long, thin claws. They feel pretty durable too, but yet they're still decently soft. But yeah, I think this is going to be a cool profile to throw, especially on the back of a chatterbait here come spring. So that was the first bait I wanted to dive in from Beast Coast, and I decided to pick up, I mean, I got a bunch of them. Because I think in particular, I know that they have these Marauders on clearance, but I don't see them in their normal lineup. So they should still be on sale if you guys want to go grab some, but I don't know if they're going to be discontinuing them, or maybe they're just taking them down to reintroduce new colors. But while you can, I would recommend jumping on over there and picking out some colors for yourselves, just because I feel like it's a really unique bait, and it's definitely going to have its place in my lineup come this spring. So now let's talk about what really got me on to Beast Coast when I was checking them out, and that is their jigs. This is the hybrid Hustler Finesse jig. Now, I mean, there's plenty that goes into this jig that drew me to them, but first is going to be that hair, that marabou style hair. Early spring, cold water. I don't really see a time that you couldn't throw this, just because if you look at the head design, it's kind of a mix between that archy style, which is going to have a little bit wider base, but still has a narrow profile to the head, so you could still flip this around, you know, some sparse grass. The weed guard isn't too stiff. I don't personally really like my weed guards all that stiff. I believe that if you have the right trailer with something, it's going to come through that cover, you know, somewhat effectively. It's got a nice stout hook on it. So this isn't going to be like your typical finesse jig where it's super tiny. I would almost classify this as kind of a power finesse jig, in the sense of the size of it isn't super small. It is smaller than your normal jigs, but the finesse part comes more so of the action. You got wire-tied skirts. Kind of hard to see, but you have a wire-tied skirt there. And also you have one of those corkscrew bait keepers there. So you're good as far as your trailer staying on the jig. Just a lot of, I feel like a lot of attention to detail went into these jigs. Lots of good colors in there. And I'm big on jigs. I love throwing jigs. So when I saw those, I knew I had to grab some. Another one of their jigs is going to be the little Magnum Flipping Jig. So these have a bit bigger of a weed guard. Again, you have that nice tinsel style through the skirt. It's also wire tied, but it still has that rubber skirt keeper throughout there too. So you kind of get that double security, if you will. Another nice thick hook for flipping. And these are tungsten. You also have the weight on the side of the head with a vertical line tie. So I can definitely see throwing this in grass. Heck, you could probably even, if in a pinch, need to substitute it as a swim jig, because again, that weed guard isn't all that stiff. It is stiffer than the Hybrid Hustler, but again, I think that would be really, if a fish comes up behind it to grab it, it doesn't have to press down too hard to get that hook point to expose itself. So that was another one I picked up. I think I grabbed 10 or 15 jigs from them. Not that those are going out. So these are all still available. I think I actually just recently saw they just stocked up on them again. So make sure you go over to Beast Coast and check out their whole selection. They have swim baits, craws, drop shot baits, a lot of good stuff over there. And another thing is, it's really reasonably priced when you consider the attention to detail, all of the features that you get in it. And especially, I think the tungsten jigs are, at least the flipping ones, are like $5 or $6, $6 I think. Whereas I'm used to paying $5 for a normal lead jig anyways. So these are definitely the most detailed jigs I would say that I've come across for that $5 to $6 price range. So go over to Beast Coast and check them out. All right, continuing with the soft plastic theme, I grabbed a good handful of Xzone lures. So I picked up a bunch of these packs from Omnia Fishing. I was using my dude Brian's code over at Punch Fishing again, and that made these almost like $4 a pack. So I've heard a lot of good things about Xzone. They've been around for a couple years now. They're still relatively new, but they have a lot of awesome profiles, and one of the big things is that their claws float, or the appendages float. So if you're familiar with like Z-Man, that type of stuff, you know the action that I'm talking about. Now I will say these aren't that Elastec material, so they're not super stretchy or anything like that. But I find that in certain situations, like if I'm trying to get a bait off of the hook keeper of a chatterbait, the Z-Man Elastec is so incredibly hard to get off, just because you have those two thin wire hooks that pin that bait up. I mean, it's not coming off, so I mean, if that's what you're looking for, that's awesome. But when you go to change that trailer, it can be a pain in the butt. So I picked up some of these. This is the Finesse Muscleback Craw. It's, I believe, what is it, 3 1/4 inch. This is that 309 color. This is one of their most popular colors, which is like a purple and copper flake on top, and then you got like a bluish pearl belly. I've had a lot of success with similar colors to that in other bait makers, so I picked up a couple packs of those. So I got the Finesse Muscleback Craws, these as well, that green pumpkin blue flake, and some of their regular Muscleback Craws, which are 4 inches. And I love the kind of flanges on the ends of these. They seem like they're going to have a lot of action. Just for reference, here's that bigger one. So I picked up what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 packs of those. And you know, everybody kind of has their staple baits, like their Rage Craws or, you know, Zoom and whatnot that they go to, and I have those too. But again, I've heard great things about Xzone, and I figured, you know, at $4 a pack, it's not gonna hurt me to try something new. So, and then I also picked up a couple of their Ned Zone Baits, again in that 309 color, and then also just in a normal green pumpkin. I like the profile of these. They kind of have that bulbous end to them, which I think helps act, you know, as a counterweight when it's down there a wiggle in. So I'm really looking forward to using these, whether it be on the back of jigs, swing head jigs, just normal Texas rigs for the craws. And I also got a pack of their adrenaline craws. So those look really good. Similar, kind of reminds me of the Z Craw a little bit, but from what I can tell is the edges of the claws give it a little bit different action. And I really do like Xzone's colors. They don't have quite as many as Zoom, obviously, because Zoom's been around since, you know, 1776. But yeah, super stoked to use these, and I think that these are also going to find a nice, comfy place in my rotation this year. All right, going into the craws again. Now, Missile Baits put out this new chunk trailer this year, which I thought looked really good. It's definitely versatile in the sense that it's big enough you could pop this on the back of a normal size jig, but where I see, if I can get it, where I see this kind of shining is on those smaller jigs. Again, it's just kind of a little chunk. So if you don't want something that's just quite as heavy, or if you want to keep that smaller profile, these seem like that they're going to be really good options. I got a pack in that Bruiser Flash color, Superbug, and some pearl whites. So I'm, again, that green pumpkin with the blue flake, and then just your standard pearl white for like a swim jig trailer. I thought those would look really good. So moving on from the crawl style baits and soft plastics, we're going to go over swim baits now. So everybody always throws Kitex. I picked up some myself because you got to, and I was due for a little bit of a re-up on those. But another swim bait that I use that I don't see a lot of people throwing, or at least the shelves are always stocked with them, but I've used them and they look great. I love the action of them. They have a nice wobble to them, are the Jackal Rhythm Waves. These are the 3.8 inch. I also have a couple of the bigger ones, but just a really, I don't know, just a nice soft swim bait. Gives you a little bit different action than your standard Kitex. Doesn't have quite as much of that big wide tail kick. And so I picked up a couple packs of those guys. This color is, if I can find it, the just bluegill pearl white. And then I also got kind of that sexy shad color as far as having some green, blue mixed in there. Here. So I picked up a couple of those. They're a bit smaller. You can throw those on a small jig head. You know, I plan on throwing these in particular on those swap head swims that I showed in the last video through Morph Lures. Again, so go check out those guys. They've been a great support for me and the channel since getting started, and just being very encouraging. So I encourage you guys to go check out those swap head swims, because you can change out the hooks sizes without having to switch the weights. So if you want a nice slow fall, you can put a 7/0 hook on a 1/4 ounce head if you wanted to, and have that nice slower fall. And vice versa, you could put a heavy weight on a smaller hook like a 3 or 4/0 and get a nice fast fall. So go ahead and check them out, and don't be afraid to check out those Jackal Rhythm Waves as well. More swim baits I've been really eager to try is going to be the Megabass Spark Shads. I've never picked those up just because I don't know. I mean, honestly, the $9 or so price tag always kind of threw me a little bit when you know, in my mind before, I'm like, I can get Kitex for $5 or $6 a pack. But again, Megabass, knowing their attention to detail, and just having a bit more, I don't know, ingenuity with the way that their actions work, I wanted to pick up a couple of those. So I got a few 4-inch Spark Shads in that kind of pro blue color, and then in a bluegill color, even though That bluegill color can kind of represent anything. And then I got some 5-inch albinos, just to, you know, have that bigger profile, maybe in a little bit murkier water. So decided to throw those in there in the mix. And finally, we're gonna get into a swim bait that I've been waiting for a long time to try. You usually got to be pretty quick with them, but that's going to be the Working Class Zero Citizens. I picked up, so a couple weeks ago, I ordered these. I picked up when they had their 6 and 7-inch drop of the silvers. This is the 7-inch, weighs 2.5 ounces, just the plastic alone. So you will kind of want your own dedicated swim bait rod for something this size. Can't talk about how much detail and just awesomeness that comes in this bait. So on the larger ones, you're going to want to throw it on a 10-aught beast hook, whether it be a flashy swimmer version or the normal one. You can see you got to kind of have that cut out where that weight's going to fit. You also have a hollow air chamber in the middle. So when you go to set that hook and you want to be able to really drive that hook into the fish's mouth, you have less plastic. I don't know, you're not going to really be able to see in there, but you have less plastic to go through to get that hook out of the top of the bait. Super soft. Recently he talked about in a video how this formula is a bit softer so that you can really slow roll this and go really slow across the bottom, and that tail is going to wag. Whereas normally you would have to work it just a tad faster to get that wag and that body roll in there. Another thing that he said that he changed is with that formula, the colors are a little more muted, but he said if you really want to bring that gloss out like the older ones, all you have to do is, if you have a blowtorch or some type of little, you know, kerosene or propane little can torch, you just go over it real lightly, and that'll bring all that shine and that gloss up to the surface. So I had placed the order for those a couple weeks ago. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then recently I just got in the 6-inch in the militia color. So funny story with these is last week when he dropped these, I was in such a panic to buy them because I was trying to get these militia ones on the first drop with that 7-inch silver, and I messed up, or I just wasn't ready, and so I missed out on them. This time around, I placed the order. I was kind of in this panic mode. These are the 6-inch in that militia color. You got that pearl belly with more of a green pumpkin stripe up top. And so I was in a panic to buy them, and I placed the order, and I didn't read that it said that my order had been placed. So I thought that it didn't go through again like it did the first time, and I bought another one. I made 2 separate orders, paid 2 separate shipping amounts, and I felt extremely dumb afterwards. So I got 2 packs. But that leads me into what we talked about in the beginning of this video, is the giveaway. So for the giveaway, here I have a brand new, unopened, as you can see, unopened pack, got the staple still in there, of Working Class Zero Citizen 6s in the militia color. These come in at 1.5 ounces, so you can get away with throwing these on a little bit lighter gear, maybe if you have a flipping stick or something like that, that you could toss this on. They weigh, like I said, they weigh 1.5 ounces, and you're going to want to throw it on a 6 or 8-aught beast hook, which is going to add another 1/4 to 3/8 ounce weight to it, but you can still get away with throwing this kind of similar to the gear you would throw the mag draft on. You could maybe a little heavier, but that being said, this is what's going to be for the giveaway. And there's just going to be a couple things I need you guys to do in order for me to figure out who these are going to. Little wardrobe change, because I had to take a day to figure out how it is that I'm going to do this contest. So I figured out this. If you want to win a pack of the Working Class Zero Citizen 6s in the militia color, what I need you to do is follow me at Shanzi Foxrelli. I'll post that here on Instagram. On this post, you'll see a post about a giveaway for these. I need you to tag 2 fishing buddies in the comments. You have to be following me, and you have to comment to fishing buddies. When my YouTube channel at Fox Relay Fishing reaches 100 subscribers, we're at 45 now, that is when I will announce on Instagram the winner of the Working Class Zero swim baits. So that's what I'm gonna do. Like I said, all you gotta do is follow me, tag 2 friends in the comments. When the YouTube reaches 100 subscribers, from 45 is where we're at now, then I will announce the winner of the swim baits, and I will ship them to you for free. No questions asked. You know, congrats, you did it. So I haven't really seen anybody give away these, so I thought it'd be something cool to do since I have an extra pack. I mean, I could keep them. You know, you can never have too many, but I thought this would be a cooler way to do it. So when that happens, I'll announce it in the comments on this post. I will throw in a name generator or something like that, and I will DM you. That's about it. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you joining me for another somewhat lengthy episode of Fox Relay Fishing. I can't wait to get out on the water. I'm thinking next video, how would you guys feel about me doing a like a rod and reel arsenal for the year? You know, just a breakdown of each of my setups and what I'm going to use them for, and maybe that'll help if somebody's newer, help you figure out maybe if you wanted to get started, what combo to grab, what you can use it for, what to throw. So anyways, thank you again, everybody. I hope you've had a very blessed week. So I will check you guys later, and let's get done with winter, because I'm over this. See ya.